Hey man, I need your advice. Okay, but you can only speak your sentences backwards. Okay. Pick I should which to these between. Oh, and you cannot respond in English if we're playing this game. Okay. Ну, мне нравятся оба. Одинаково как-то выглядит. 4 вентилятора, подсветка. Который дешевле? Mode review. The 4 time it's guess I. Cheaper is Silverstone. Oh, by the way, you don't have to respond backwards anymore. Man, this is so sad. We need friends. Case review? Case review. Creativity is fueled by the best instruments. It doesn't always come easy, and in the process you often realize how important quality is. The RD400 by OCZ gives you quality and speed with M.2 interface, Toshiba NAND flash, and a PCI bracket, making it possible to focus on what matters. Invest in storage that makes a difference, with a 5-year advanced warranty. Okay guys, so my initial idea for this video was to compare the new Primera case from Silverstone to the NZXT N450 because they are in an almost similar price range. Cooling wise, they are identical on paper and share some physical properties like this angled window on the side and a quite similar shape of the exterior top and front panels. But on the interior, we're looking at completely different layouts with a more modern configuration on the PM01, such as the open interior, and thus I decided to review this as a standalone enclosure because regardless of the specs on paper, these two cases offer completely different experiences both for assembly and hardware. And when I first got the case, I thought this is a fantastic entry from Silverstone. The glossy white color may not be my favorite, but color variance between metal and plastic is almost non-existent, while a glossy black exterior is also available and a matte black will also be coming. The side panel is quite bendy, which is pretty normal when you have such a large window, and this scratch test returns to see how resilient the window is from handling, and no luck. Peel off the protective sticker after you're finished building to avoid battle marks. The built-in blue lighting for the white version is fine. It's red LEDs on the black case. Definitely not the safest choice, and RGB would have been better. It is 2016 after all, but it will attract those committed to that one color scheme. The LED modes are full brightness, half brightness, breathing mode, and off. And notice the 3 front 140mm fans are part of that LED sync, which is nice, and having so much front airflow for the interior is fantastic, especially since the front panel is fully covered in mesh. Now, taking off that panel toe is a bit ridiculous, as you need to remove 4 screws first, which are a bit difficult to access, and whatever happened to toolless approach for removing panels. There is a large dust filter covering the full intake area, which is a fine mesh that catches all the small particles but still grants nice air movement. Speaking of dust filters, there is one included for the power supply, easily removable from the back. The I/O is at the top with 4 USB ports and audio, with LED and power buttons located opposite from each other. And while we're at the top, this is where the case disappointed me the most. We first need to remove a few more screws to lift off this top panel, again what happened to toolless approach, but I assumed that this space above the frame could be utilized for a set of fans, especially if you're installing a radiator on the inside, and this extra space would be awesome. And also based on the specifications, it supports a 240, a 280, and a 360mm radiator at the top. But not only does Silverstone restrict fan placement due to such bulky plastic frame, but none of the mounting holes actually line up with the fans since the plastic frame is so thick. And even if you could mount fans here, there is no cable pass-through to the inside of the case. Again, this plastic frame is so restricting, and it doesn't have to be. The height here perfectly accommodates for a set of fans for additional internal clearance, but this terrible top design makes it totally unattractive for all-in-one users. And this makes me so mad because on paper it's awesome, and even with just a glimpse of the interior, it makes it seem like it would be awesome for a standard 240mm all-in-one at the top, but it isn't. The power supply chamber though is fully enclosed with discreet branding that I appreciate, and if you're air cooling, this fantastic front intake would deliver so much air, and a front radiator support exists via this slide door at the bottom and opens 45mm of clearance, so you could potentially mount your all-in-one at the front and move those front fans around. The storage approach here is pretty basic with dual SSD caddies behind the mobile and the standard drive cage in front of the power supply with 3 caddies. They are catching up with the Velcro straps, which is awesome for cable management, along with a fan hub for 10 fans, which is quite nice, but it is SATA powered. I hate fan hubs that you cannot control, kind of defeats the purpose of even including one. And so we begin the assembly with taking apart my recently built workstation because the color combo is actually pretty perfect with white and blue, and the first hiccup comes with the motherboard standoffs, or the lack of them on the right side. And if you pre-install 6 standoffs, you might as well pre-install all of them. And this is where during the build I realized that no fans can be mounted above the frame, and my 240mm all-in-one could not fit above the motherboard due to limited spacing, as the mounting location is right in the center and in no way offset closer to the side panel. And this meant I could only mount a single fan on my radiator, as there is 45mm of internal clearance before we hit the memory. Now I can imagine this to work flawlessly with a CPU tower or a 120mm all-in-one for the rear, but I just don't understand how a new 2016 case release could be so bad at accommodating a 240mm radiator, and also where are my thumb screws for the PCI brackets? It just doesn't feel right at $110. On the inside, if you need more storage though, the side wall can house 3 more SSDs, and cable management is perfectly fine. I would like to see more cable tie hoops on the right side, but the Velcro straps in this main area is a big plus. And so what we have here is a case with fantastic front airflow, good storage support and reasonable cable management, but the top frame design is a real killer and immediately turns off customers with AIO plans. The PM01 is a large enclosure that doesn't really utilize its size for the target builder, but from an airflow perspective, it would be an excellent choice for those with CPU tower coolers. Ultimately, for a case over $100, we need something new, and Silverstone right now is playing catch up, which is a good trend, but left me wanting more, which I hope the eventual PM02 will completely satisfy. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Dmitry with Canucks. We'll see you in the next video.